Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's going to be reviewing this modified Toyota Tacoma TRD PRO. I thought that a lot of you might like how this build was done, so figured I'd show it on the channel. Before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the Large Miller Toyota here in Murray for giving me some time with this Tacoma. I'll include a link to the website in the description down below. I'll also include a link to my car buying guide. Let's get into it. Under the hood, we have a 3.5 liter V6 naturally aspirated that goes through a 6-speed automatic. It puts out 278 horsepower and then 265 pound-feet of torque. Now, before we move forward with this review, I do want to mention if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So before we get into some of the modification stuff that's happened to this truck, I do want to mention I am surprised how well this has held up when it comes to looks. So they actually happen to have a new TRD PRO all the way down over there. You can see that little white one right there. So I've kind of had a chance to see them, you know, both in the same place at the same time. And like, this truck still holds up really well when it comes to looks. They just did such a good job with the style. But anyways, the big modification with this is it is lifted. I don't know how big the lift is on this. This is just a used truck to have in inventory. It looks like it's probably a 2-inch roughly. The tire specs are pretty cool. It's a 285 by 75 by 16. So they kept the stock wheels, and these are Mickey Thompsons, by the way, which Toyota people seem to love these tires quite a bit. It's a really good set. But anyways, yeah, that's a pretty big tire for the Tacoma. I mean, the stock ones are like 265, so 20 millimeters narrower. And then I think the sidewall rating is a 70, so a little bit smaller on that as well. And just look at this with the stance. Really good looking front to rear. The camera's not going to do it justice, but I think you guys kind of get what I'm showing here. And then I'll show you guys the suspension quickly. You can see that whole setup there. And then in the back as well. And this might have wheel spacers too, because these tires do poke out just a little bit. So that is another thing to consider. But here's the, let me take a few steps back, side profile. I don't know, I think it looks cool, especially the solar octane. This was one of the colors that worked out really well on the Tacoma. And then quickly inside, if you guys want to see what build quality is like, just get into one of these old Tacomas, and not that old right now, but still, look at the seats. Definitely not the most comfortable, but just really well built. Same with the steering wheel. You can see we've got stuff like dual zone climate, and then up top you've got your controls for like the locking differential and multi-terrain select and everything. Just a cool setup in general. But anyways, these trucks are still selling. This has like 13,000 miles. This is still selling for about original MSRP, which just shows you how people are valuing the older Toyotas so highly, because the new Tundras, and not the new Tacoma TRD Pros, but just like a regular Tacoma, those are selling for under original MSRP. And so it's like, you have to spend more money to get an old one than a new one nowadays, which is kind of crazy. But let's drive this. Well, let us set off. I figured it'd be fun to see how this performs. Can it even move the tires? And again, so 285 by 75 by 16, I think that's like a 33. It's got to be a 33. But these tires look huge on this truck because of the smaller wheels, the 16-inch wheels. That's why I personally always like smaller wheels. Get more sidewall, can fit more tire, and it just always looks better. More tire looks, or sorry, less tire looks bigger. So I think it's always a big win, if you ask me. Now, one downside about this generation of Tacoma is definitely the transmission. It's the transmission, the gear hunts a bunch, unlike the 5-speed that's in the 4Runner, for example. And then also the 3.5 is just weaker than the 4.0 V6. I still, to this day, don't understand why Toyota downgraded so much. Like, on paper it looks like an upgrade, like, oh, we're going for a, you know, smaller displacement, more efficient V6, similar power figures. Oh, it's fine. And hey, we're going for a 6-speed automatic. You get one extra gear. It looks good on paper, but in reality it just performs worse. Like, you drive a 4Runner with the 4.0 and the 5-speed, and it drives so much better. Or you drive an old Tacoma with the 4.0, and it still just drives better. So it's just interesting how that kind of all happened. But either way, still feels like a tank to this day. The new Toyotas just feel, excuse me, the new Toyotas just feel so plasticky. Oh, I forgot the brakes on this. I wasn't ready for that. They're like nothing and then everything. Yeah, it's definitely slow. Yeah, it's not fast. But that's, you don't buy one of these because they're fast. You buy them because they're cool. They drive well. But yeah, you get into this generation of Toyota, whether it's a 4Runner, a Land Cruiser, a Tundra, Tacoma, and it just drives like a tank. Feels solid, feels well built. Really, the biggest downside with this generation of all these vehicles, Toyota trucks, is, wow, that was we're gonna go over another bump and see if that's gonna be a thing again. Anyways, the biggest downside is fuel economy is not great, and it seems like that was kind of like a big focus with the new gen Toyotas, is going for better fuel economy, but then it's like I don't know, fuel economy and emissions, and they've sacrificed the reliability that people love with Toyotas. It's kind of my 2 cents on that. By the way, this is a nice truck. And it's not bad. Like, when you're tooting around town, this is more than enough power. It's not bad. It's just when you get on the highway that it gets annoying with this particular powertrain. That's where the 4.0 and the 4Runner shines through. One thing that I will mention, this isn't nearly, this is more of a truck than the new TRD Pro. Like, the TRD Pro is very Raptor-like, where it's like, ooh, with the suspension, very Baja-esque. This is like truck-like, where it's just firm. It's not bad. And it could be, you know, also the lift, because the stock TRD Pro Tacoma is squishier. I do remember that. But still, this isn't as Baja. Like, you go over bumps and the truck's gonna go, it's like a Baja truck, right? Goes straight and the suspension's going like that. Whereas a truck like this, the truck's going for the bump. It's kind of a fun experience, but not great for the vehicle. So either way, let me know you guys think about this Tacoma build, and let me know what you think about this generation TRD Pro versus the new gen TRD Pro. Here's a closer look at that so you guys can kind of see the whole setup. I mean, it's cool. The new one's it's cool looking. You just don't get the back seats because of those seat shocks. And then aside from the seat shocks being a little bit of a problem, it's expensive. And I also just don't know, like, are people actually going to Baja with their Tacomas? I just don't think that's a thing. Because from my perspective, Toyota has always been kind of about, like, Toyota people have always been more about overlanding, right? It's like, yeah, just leave that to the Raptor if you're going to do Baja stuff, but it seems like everyone wants like a piece of the Raptor pie, so they're all making these Baja vehicles. But I think the manufacturers underestimate how many people actually like want to do Baja driving. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on that. I need the potato cam. As another downside with this compared to the new one is the camera system. Thank you, A-Track. I forgot this had the loud one, which it still works well. Oh. I forgot the sound of that system. It's fun. I think it's definitely fun. But either way, let me know you guys think about the Tacoma TRD Pro with the lift and everything. And let's just look at things as they are. If this was stock, it would still be about the same amount of money. So in the 50,000, low 50s. Would you rather buy, let's just say you were given the money. Well, no, that's not fair. You have to spend your own money. Would you rather spend $50,000 and get one of these used with, you know, around 10,000 miles, so basically a new vehicle, but not new, or TRD Pro and you got to spend, you know, mid-60s? I know it's a lot of people that are kind of doing that math right now. Let me know your thoughts on that.